Hello, everybody. This is Zach Said It Again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and it's a pleasure for me to be here with Pastor Delana Hagerman, who is the new pastor of the Wytheville First Church of God. Pastor Hagerman, thank you so much for being with me on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
One of your congregation members approached me and said that we have a wonderful new pastor. Could you please do a segment on her? And I said I would be happy to. So we're just going to do a general background of your history. First, can you tell me about where you grew up and how your experience of when you joined the ministry and how you ended up here in Wytheville?
Sure. I grew up, I was born and raised in McDowell County, West Virginia.
Oh.
And my husband and I dated in high school. We got married and we moved out here where my grandparents were at the time. They lived in Little Creek. And so we moved here to find jobs, and we began building a life here in Rural Retreat. And we started going to church. We found us a church. We were very young. We were 19 when we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And and the rest is history as far as that. We have 4 children. And as far as getting called into the ministry, every church that we've been to, I think we've been to 3 in all of our years here. The Lord has just used us, and we felt like we were called into full-time ministry about 5 or 6 years ago. And so we began to pray about that, and my husband left his job of almost 30 years, which was scary, for us to begin a school at our church at the time, and that's Cove Road Christian Academy. And we ran that together along with some wonderful brothers and sisters, right beside of us, cheering us on, helping us, supporting us financially. And then I became associate pastor under Pastor Don Sunshine. I think it was about 6 years, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember. And then when Pastor Don announced his retirement, then the mechanics of the church is that the new pastor has to be voted in. And that's what happened. We were voted in, and that's how I became senior pastor at Wytheville First Church of God.
Okay, so your husband is a minister too. Is that correct?
Well, he is not. He doesn't consider. He's not a minister. He doesn't consider himself a minister, but he certainly does minister alongside of me. And so he gets the title from me, even if he doesn't accept it.
Right. And you were talking about that the two of you have established and have run Cove Road Christian Academy. That is where when I called you, that's what pops up on my phone, Cove Road Christian Academy. And
Yes,
you and your husband still work that school daily, correct?
we do. Yes.
And what does that entail?
It's just right now, our highest level, our high is 7th graders, but we advertise K through 8th grade, and we continue to move up a year or increase a year each year that we're there. For example, if your student is in our highest grade level, for example, 8th grade, and they need to move up to level or grade 9 for next year, we honor that. And we have currently 10 students, and we're very small, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a great time, and we have 4 teachers there, including my husband and myself, and 2 more. And we have some great women that come and volunteer their time. Actually, now that I've been sick the last few days, I have a lady filling in for me, and we're just very thankful for that. But we just teach like, we teach, we allow the children to be children, and the best thing about it is that we can teach them to pray and teach them about Jesus, and we have some pretty deep conversations. We don't pretend with the children that Christians are perfect, but that Jesus is perfect, and we strive to be like him. So we're very thankful and humbled and blessed for the opportunity.
Correct. Now, what was your goal in creating a school? Was it, is this a supplement? Was this as a homeschool approach? Is this a supplemental approach in addition to public school? Is it specifically Christian subjects? What was your goal in creating this? And when did you say it happened again? About 6 years ago?
We opened the school right in the middle of the pandemic. It was the strangest thing to open. The public school children were, of course, out of school. So we opened it to begin with to allow parents to have a safe place for their children while they worked. So that was an issue. And we attempted to let the children bring their tablets, work on their schoolwork at our facility, and that did work. And then that was from August, I think it was, through October, when the children went back to public school at the time, those that chose to.
Of 2020.
Yes, of 2020. Of 2020. And then in 2021, March of 2021, we were approved by the state to open up a pre-K, so that's what we did. And then from there, it just went from a full-blown school. And as far as what were our hopes were to offer, not to replace public school. I don't think that that's exactly a good thing to say. I think it was just to offer something different if parents so chose. And we have some wonderful ministries already within our county that offer schools. I think there's 3 right offhand that I can think of. And I know some of the people that work there have been in touch with several of those ministries, and I think that it's across the board. We just want our children to know Jesus. We just want our children to know that that there's something that God offers, and that's His Son, and that we can live our lives in according to His will, and that's the main goal. I think that's truly what we wanted and what we still want. And as far as subject matter goes, we teach the ABECA curriculum. That is the #1 Christian curriculum. Over the last 50 years, we do teach that. We do individualize some students' educations with another curriculum. It depends on what their needs are. So everything with ABECA is intertwined with Scripture. And we enjoy teaching that, and we feel like that is the best avenue for our students.
And that acronym that you're saying is ABECA, right?
Yeah, ABECA it's a Christian based curriculum. It's located out of Pensacola, Florida, and we've used that since we opened.
And that was when?
We opened
2020, you said.
2020, and then we went into 2021 when we went into 2021, it was August of 2021 when we opened up K through fourth grade, I think, and then we've just increased each year that we've been there.
And when was it you said you became a full-time minister again?
I have been associate pastor since I think it was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Under Pastor Don.
2019.
But I started at the church just this past June.
Okay.
June of 2024.
Okay. So, and you said that if you have a student or students that want to stay past the grade level that you offer, then you will honor that and let them stay for the next grade. So potentially if you have a student that starts with you in pre-K and wants to stay with you all the way until they graduate, that can happen if that is what they choose.
That is exactly what I'm saying, and that's what we have done. So the high school is a little different as far as credits and things that you have to keep track of.
Right.
And we don't have any students in high school yet. So next year, our oldest student will be in the 8th grade. And so we're preparing for those high school years now, getting to understand how that it works, and what the student needs, what we need to do, and all of that. So we're being prepared now, so that we'll know what to expect here in the next 2 years.
Okay. Now we have to say something then about Don Sunshine, because he is somewhat of a legendary clergy in the community.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you had an opportunity to work with him, because you would be able to speak firsthand about the legacy that he leaves and what you've learned from him.
Pastor Don has certainly been a wonderful mentor. He has taught me a lot about ministry. He has helped me to understand a lot in the Word, and it has been an honor and a privilege to to help him and Rita in the ministry. And I can't say enough good things about either one of them. They're good people. They love Jesus, and I miss them, and I know that a lot of our congregation does. Pastor Don and Rita were there for a little over 20 years, I think, maybe 21, and that's a long time to pastor. Yes. And but I have seen them both. I've seen them both minister. Yes, through their own heartbreak and their own issues in life, while dealing with other people's heartbreak and issues in life. And I have seen them rely heavily upon the Lord, and I desire to do the same. And they were wonderful examples of what pastors are.
Now, are they still in the area, or have they moved away?
They're not in the county. They've moved out of the county.
Okay. Was there a particular reason that they chose to move away? Did they just decide that this was time? It was time for them to go, and they wanted to retire, or do you know?
I'm really not. I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
I see.
But
very well.
But they definitely desire to enjoy their retirement.
Right.
Yeah.
and I know that they were very well known in the Wytheville community and very well liked in the Wytheville community, which was the reason that I was asking that.
Yes.
And I was asking that question because I didn't know if they would still remain a part of the congregation or community. But
Well, they have found a congregation now, and that they are active in. However, we are taking donations to McDowell County, West Virginia, because of the flood that happened in the middle of February. And so they have been helping with that effort, and we're actually going down on Saturday, and to my understanding now, I've had several conversations with Pastor Don, and they will be accompanying us as we go. And so, he still knows things that we're doing, and he's always open always available if I need any advice or anything like that. He certainly hasn't, completely left us or anything of that nature. But he certainly, he has retired and from Wytheville First Church of God, and we respect that and certainly wish him well.
Well, I'm sure that if you were to need something, that he would be a phone call away, and it sounds like that is the case. Now,
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up McDowell County because I wanted to come back to that.
Okay.
I as I told you before we started, I was born with cerebral palsy and have lived my life in a wheelchair. And every time my wife and I cross two new states as travelers, as tourists, that constitutes a new traveling memoir that I write. And I write about traveling as a disabled person and the difficulties you face with that. Try to praise people that are handicapped accessible, that have their places handicapped accessible. And one of the nicest places I have ever visited, and it was a Labor Day weekend vacation, but my wife and daughter, who was about 4 years old at the time, we went and on a Labor Day weekend to New River Gorge. One of the best vacations we had ever had. Just nice and peaceful and
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And stayed at the Quality Inn in Fayetteville, and wonderful people there. And we put the CD in, and we could do the driving tour of going down into the gorge, and let the CD tell us all about the history, and going to Thurman and New River Gorge is one of my favorite places. It's very near and dear to my heart. So it must have been special growing up there.
I at the time I didn't think that it was very special growing up there. It was a coal mining town.
Right.
And I didn't know that we were poor.
Right.
But we always had what we needed, and we had a lot of what we wanted. And but I honestly, the way that I see the world now, I am very thankful that I was born and raised where I was, and that my parents cared enough about me to discipline me, and that my parents raised us. People would say that we were sheltered, and and I suppose in a lot of ways that we were, but I can see it now for the value that it is. My mom and dad loved us, and they desired a better way of life for us, and they provided that, showed us what that could be, and I can see the value in how we grew up and what we were protected from, and that we didn't get everything that we wanted, or that what we had to work for, or there's value in hard work.
Absolutely.
And my daddy was a coal miner, and and he wasn't always it wasn't union. My daddy didn't work in a union mines. He worked some in Buchanan County, and it wasn't always great pay, and sometimes he didn't even get paid. So there were a lot of hard times, but there were also a lot of good times. And like I said, I don't remember ever starving to death or anything like that. I thank God the way that we were raised, and I try to raise our children similar. Well, most of our kids are grown, but I have tried to teach them the value of hard work, and that you always don't get what you want.
And there's a reason for that. There's a good reason for that. We are in such a state of the world where there's a sense of entitlement, and there's no reason attached to it. I'm gonna take this because I want it and for no other reason. And then we have parents that don't reprimand that, they encourage that, and it's very frightening if you're trying to teach your child one set of values, and then they go out into the world and they see this other set of values, and then it's like, well, why do I have to do this when these other kids that I'm around don't have to do this? And what we're trying to say is, because you need to have value in what you achieve and value in yourself for being capable.
Yes, and we try to teach this at school with the value of your time and money. Right. And we have the children at school have certain chores that are assigned to them, and the parents know this. They know this up front. And if you get paid for your chores at the end of every 9 weeks, there's an auction. You get paid with it's not real money. It's of course fake money, but and if you don't do your chores, you don't get paid. So we try to teach the value of working, and when you do something, do it, to the glory of the Lord as unto Him, and because there's benefits.
So the money that you give them, can they put that towards certain things?
Yeah.
Is it like tokens, so to speak? Kind of like the script you got for working in the coal mines, at the company store?
Well, this is just this is toy money, play money that we bought off of Amazon. And
exactly.
It's like that, and they it's their responsibility to keep up with it. It's their responsibility to make sure that it's where that they know that it's not lost. It's their responsibility to get it ready for when the auction occurs. Again, we have an auction every 9 weeks, at the end of every 9 weeks, and we have different things for the kids to, and they love it. They just think it's great. And
right.
I mean, we have had some that have lost their money, and I mean, we don't replace that. If you've lost
right.
it, then I'm sorry that you've lost it. You need to be more responsible. But
right.
But yeah, and we try to instill things like that at school as well. Now, some of the kids absolutely do not like to do chores, and that is the nature of a child. But usually by the end of the year, they're doing pretty good, and we don't even have to tell them 3 times. So
right. What are some of your goals for, now that you are the senior pastor of the church, what are some of your goals for the church and the school, if you've not already talked about them?
My goals for the church, it's very simple, and would be for the value of family, us to find the value of what what the world would consider to be, non-important things. The value of serving Christ, the value of family again. Families are so broken, and and all of us are broken. I don't mean that we're not. We're all at times broken messes, and God can repair those messes if we allow Him to. But just to get back to the basics, let's get back to God, from hearing from Him. Let's get back to family and spending time with their family. Let's get back to loving our brothers and sisters in the Lord. Let's get back to community and helping one another, and extending a helping hand in love, not out of obligation, not out of, come here and let me see, let me show you what I've done. No, let's just get back to the basics of life. I don't think it has to be so complicated. I don't think that I think that programs are all well and good. I've participated in a lot of those. I have ran some of those. But, sometimes things don't stick. But one thing that I know will always stick, and that is the love of God. And that's just what I want for my congregation. I want, all the Lord He wants to be known. And that's what I want. I want the Lord to be known within our congregation, within our families, within our community. And that is my desire, and that's the vision for our church. And the vision for the school is really no different. To teach these children, we have some wonderful chapel days with these children. They're hungry for the Word of God. We put our children in Sunday school. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's wonderful to see them learn about different stories. But that doesn't mean that they know Jesus. So when we have chapel days, we all have chapel days together, and they are, you would be blown away at some of the questions that these students ask, and just you could tell that they're really thinking about salvation. And about how, it's one thing to say, well, you have to be like Christ, but it's another thing to sit down with them and say, okay, well, how do we do that? It's one thing to say, put on the whole armor of God, but it's another thing, to sit down with them and to show them through the Word, how do you do that? So that's my whole vision, what I just described, and for the church and for the school.
Okay, and in about the last minute that we have here, tell me about your general feelings of working here in Wytheville and Wythe County. For me, I've lived here all my 40 years. There's no other place in the world I'd rather live. We have a very supportive community. How do you feel about working here in Wytheville and being a part of this community?
I live in rural retreat, and I can tell you that I absolutely love where I live, and I love Wythe County. This is the only place as an adult that I've ever lived. I moved here when I was 18 years old, and I've met some wonderful people here. I don't know a lot of people in the ministry. Pastor Don, he was always the forefront. I was always behind, and I was happy that way. And so, and I should have probably met more people with him, but I did not choose to do that. But as far as the people here, I love the people. I love the community, and I look forward to working with, working with my community, helping my community in the future.
All right. Thank you very much, Delana Hagerman. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Okay, thank you so much.